Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Sentimental Value. It's an emotionally layered, quietly devastating film. This Norwegian drama is directed by Joachim Trier, and while it's not flawless, it's deeply human and deeply reflective. Quick heads up, this review may contain the occasional minor spoiler, but I'll do my best to avoid them. The film centers on Nora, a stage actress living with intense anxiety and emotional dislocation following her mother's death. She and her sister Agnes return to their childhood home, a strikingly lovely house, a place that almost becomes its own character in the film. The house is flawed. It's slowly sinking over time, and it's an effective metaphor for how Nora feels. Rather than progressing in a traditional plot-driven way, Sentimental Value unfolds in fragments. Memories, conversations, rehearsals, family confrontations, and artistic processes. The story explores Nora's estranged relationship with her estranged father, Gustav, an acclaimed but emotionally distant filmmaker who re-enters her life with a creative proposal. What I really admired here is that the movie never rushes its emotional beats. Scenes are allowed to breathe, sometimes uncomfortably so. There's a stage performance early on where Nora experiences a full-blown panic attack before going on stage, and instead of cutting away, the film forces us to sit in that anxiety with her. It's frustrating, selfish, painful, and real. If I had to critique the plot at all, it's that maybe the runtime could have been shaved down by about 10 minutes. Some sequences linger just a little bit longer than necessary, but honestly, the payoff still lands for me. The themes and tone are where Sentimental Value really shines. At its core, this film is about intergenerational trauma and how pain quietly transfers from parent to child, not through overt abuse, but through emotional absence. Gustav isn't a cartoonish villain, he's a real person. He clearly cares about his daughters, he just doesn't love well. One of my favorite ideas in the film is that art becomes a proxy for emotional confrontation. Nora struggles to live as herself, but finds temporary safety in becoming other people on stage. Gustav processes his trauma through filmmaking instead of family. Agnes, meanwhile, chooses stability, motherhood, and structure. There's a powerful dinner table scene where Gustav bluntly states that artists need liberty even at the expense of relationships. Nora fires back with one of the sharpest lines in the movie, and in that moment, the film perfectly captures the tension between creation and connection. The tone is quiet, melancholic, and introspective. In many ways, this movie reminded me of my favorite film from last year, Train Dreams, although the cinematography is much less poetic. I also liked how the film acknowledges that loneliness doesn't always come from isolation. Sometimes it comes from being misunderstood. Renatereinsve gives a phenomenal performance here. Nora is messy, frustrating, anxious, self-sabotaging, and completely believable. There's a moment where she admits that she feels 80% up, and instead of sounding edgy or melodramatic, it lands with quiet honesty. Her best scenes are the quiet ones. Running alone, lying on a stage floor after a performance, or reading a script that feels like it knows her better than she knows herself. Reinsve plays Nora with restraint, and that makes the emotional explosions hit harder. Stellanskarsgard is incredible here. I wouldn't be surprised if he were nominated for an Oscar. Gustav is charming, intelligent, selfish, tender, and deeply flawed. There were moments where I disliked him, and there were moments where I completely understood him. There's a late conversation where he essentially sees right through Nora's rage and loneliness, and it's chilling how accurate he is. Skarsgård plays Gustav as a man who knows he's failed emotionally but doesn't fully know how to fix it. Inga Ibsdottir Lilius is the emotional glue of this movie as Agnes. She's stable, compassionate, and quietly burdened. A late scene between Agnes and Nora involving sharing childhood trauma and the realization that one sibling survived better simply because the other one protected them is one of the most powerful scenes in the entire film. Just being there for someone can go a long way. Lastly, Ellefanning plays Rachel Kemp, a famous actress drawn into Gustav's artistic orbit. I'll admit, at first I wasn't convinced that she was the right person for this role. Her voice and energy felt slightly out of place, but as the movie progressed, that out of place vibe was the point. Fanning played her role well with some honest humility. Visually, Sentimental Value is restrained but elegant. The cinematography favors natural light, long takes, and soft framing. One of the most beautiful scenes involves characters smoking outside at night, lit only with practical lighting. It's intimate, quiet, and emotionally charged. There's also a stunning montage where faces blend into one another, paired with melodramatic music. It's one of the film's most visually expressive moments, and it perfectly captures the idea that identity, memory, and trauma bleed together over time. The home is the emotional core of the movie. It's beautiful, flawed, and slowly sinking, just like the family that lived in it. There's an interesting scene at the end where the house is renovated with a millennial gray, and it feels soulless. That transformation reminded me that memory, history, and emotional weight can easily be erased. The soundtrack in this film is subtle but effective. Real tracks are used sparingly but meaningfully. The music never overpowers the emotion but rather supports it. The final musical cue, paired with a long, uninterrupted take, is one of the most cathartic endings and makes the slow pacing of this movie worth it. The final thing I want to mention is that I have two very happily married parents. I think that if I would have been raised by divorced parents, then this movie would have wrecked me. I have some girlfriends who were raised by divorced parents who've seen this movie and they bawled. So just be warned, this is a heavy-hitting movie, heavier for some than others. Sentimental Value isn't an easy watch, but it's a profoundly honest one. It's slow, introspective, and emotionally demanding, yet incredibly rewarding if you're willing to meet it where it's at. The film understands that love and pain often coexist, and that parents can care deeply and still fail their children, and that art can become a refuge and a way of avoiding real emotional reckoning. What ultimately stayed with me is how deeply human this story feels. It's messy, fractured, unresolved, and sincere. It reminds us that forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about learning how to live with it, and that reconciling with life, no matter how painful, is the only way forward. For me, this is easily one of the most emotionally rich films of 2025, and I'll be thinking about it for a long time. Thank you for listening to my review of Sentimental Value. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego, and I will see you next time.